Hey guys, what's going on? This is Brad from the Ad Army, and today we are going to be talking about how Digimon and Godzilla can actually help each other out reciprocally, but more importantly, how Digimon can use Godzilla as a way to fix and help designs moving forward. And before I get into it, as always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out, and we are growing the Ad Army with your help slowly but surely. And if you're a fan of Godzilla like I am, and a fan of Digimon, these two things just kind of go hand in hand together. I mean, you've got digital monsters that take the usage of data from our world and make themselves into these massive creatures thanks to that. And Digimon with Godzilla just honestly makes a lot of sense in general, thanks to some designs. I am talking about Dinomon, but I honestly just love the fact that Dinomon reminds me of Flamedramon and Burning Godzilla all in one, and it's a dinosaur, so it's just too cool. But let's just jump into today's topic and talk about how they could use Godzilla for design. Now, getting into it, obviously, in my thumbnail, I talked about Titan Digimon. I really think this would be a very interesting concept for one, the card game, two, video games, and maybe even a manga would be pretty crazy, but let me just get into the main focus of the topic. So when I look at what Godzilla could do for Digimon, there's a few ways to approach it, but this is the best way I think could happen if we were to do a card game adaptation alongside maybe a anime or manga adaptation, right? So obviously the first thing I would have is have a central theming of these Digimon. So they all have a similar origin. I really think the cool thing about this could be like a side story anime or like a video game plot where you have these Digimon that are actually formed from data from the human world. Like, they're monsters obviously based around specific monsters from our media. So obviously the Godzilla based one, which is obviously the one I think everybody would want to see, it could be a variant Digimon where I think, unlike a lot of the Digimon, we're probably thinking like a whole Digimon evolution line, kind of like how you could view something like Shin Godzilla, for instance. We don't even need that. So what we could have is how I think this would also work in the card game as well, is you could have a matching egg for all of the monsters, and I personally would have, like, you call it the mysterious rock or egg, kind of like how Royal Knights and the 7th Grade Demon Lord deck has their own like special egg. We'd have something very similar where you hatch an egg that all of the Digimon can digivolve on top of, and then effectively this line would be focused on only playing rookies, level 6s, and then having variants of level 6s and possibly level 7s. Now, what I mean by only having these two is that I think what would happen, which would be completely cool here, is that the Titan Digimon would function effectively like how we would have some Digimon in the card game, where they only have a rookie form and a mega form. This is because when the Titan Digimon actually awaken in their full power, they become monstrous, titanic, and they skip all previous stages. They don't go to champion, they don't go to ultimate, they go straight into mega. And this allows this deck, in my opinion, would be really cool to see, because basically you just go kind of like Rookie Rush mixes with like Mega Zoo. It'd be like a really cool like combination of that, where the Megas can warp into their baby forms basically, so you could have decks focusing on just one type of monster, and then allows it to do it. I think this is really cool because thanks to Godzilla, and I have Mothra specifically because they have lots of different forms, you can kind of start to see how it would be easy to actually design this for the card game. It'd be very easy to simply just make the rookies, make their level 6s their mega forms, and then effectively allowing them to kind of slide evolve between some of them. So obviously, like, base Godzilla would be like the normal mega form. It'd be like the level 6, but then that or Godzillamon, right? You could kind of just call it that. Godzillamon turns into like Burning Godzillamon. It'd just be like you digivolve it on top of it for like one cost, and it gets other effects. It's like, that's how crazy I think you could make this design really easy. I also like it for something like Mothra because it gives more levels to like the insectoid stuff, like Mothramon or Mothmons or something like that. You just give it a little bit of a change up, but the point would be simple. You know, you let the Mothmon warp into its big form, and then you have like Leo and Rainbow. You know, you have all these cool like variations you could do. And in a video game too, where is just what I want to focus on, I think this would be a cool premise for like a app game too, like if they want to do another mobile Digimon game, because I think Bandai really could just adapt this as like the big raid bosses. So like you could focus your game on like building your Digimon, your teams, and then you're going around the digital world, and then eventually you run into like these boss Digimon. So like maybe you battle them in their rookie forms, and then you battle them early on, so then maybe you can add them to your team. But then in order to get their mega forms, you have to face them in like raid battles, kind of like how they do for like Pokemon and stuff like that. And I think it would be cool because having raid bosses focused around these Titan or Godzilla monsters would be insane. It also leaves open the window for other IPs that have like monster based focus to add their elements to the future of Digimon, because I think Digimon's in a really cool place where it can adapt a lot of stuff. Like it can adapt references, it can adapt memes if they wanted to, and the reason why is because it's inherent to the actual IP. It's about digital things, it's about digital monsters. You just kind of apply those elements from our real world into it, and I do think this is a cool way to do it. Also talking about just for designs for say be like plushes and stuff, because I do want to talk about that and designs. Honestly, I think as like the Godzilla mixed with War Greymon, I think that's cool, but let's be honest, I think we really want like more cool stuff too, because there's lots of different creatures from different Godzilla films that you could adapt into like Digimon and then kind of change them up. Like I think a really cool one is something like Gigan. I think Gigan is really cool, of like just having a monster that kind of is so like weirdly Digimon in its own theming. It has like sickle hands, it has this weird Cyclops eye, it kind of looks like a fish mixed with a bird. You know, it has a buzzsaw on its chest. You know, there's like a really random elements that just go so well with like, you know, designing a Digimon. You know, they always say for people with Digimon, or when they're creating Digimon, they say, mate, it's a cute creature, give it guns, give it cannons, give it swords, buff it up, and then there you go. And I'm like, but we have a lot of that from monsters where you could just make them kind of crazy. Finishing off with this video, I'm just kind of pointing to you guys, I'm a big Godzilla fan, obviously you could tell, but I do think that in the future, this is something that could be taken into consideration, because both Godzilla and Digimon are very interesting IPs and interesting brands that, if used together in their own ways, they could really make a lot of interesting factors for both. But pretty much that's all I've got for you guys today. This video is more of a fun video because, you know, I did do some Godzilla videos in the past, but you know, it's kind of died down a bit just because I've been busy and been kind of focusing on Digimon. But I kind of want to let people know it's not just the only thing I like a lot of other things, but also I wanted to just talk about how fantastic it is that Godzilla is 70 years old. It was a big part of my childhood in terms of like film stuff getting as I got older, and it's still a part of my life now. So for people like that, never let the things in your childhood die. A lot of them will persist with your life. Just, you know, find a way to make it work in your adult life, and that's all you can ask for. But as I said before, this has been Brad from the Ed Army signing off, and for all of you out there, to sign on.